The football team earns a huge upset win.
And the women's soccer team continues their season-long shutout.
It's a brand new season of All Access, and it kicks off right now. Welcome to our silver season of All Access, the show with your latest news, highlights, and recaps on Rowan Athletics. I'm Cody Decker.
And I'm Chris Devine. Hope you haven't missed us too much, but now training camp is over and our season opens up with a recap of the football team's latest NJAC contest. So Cody, take it away.
Thanks, Chris. On Saturday night, Rowan played host to Christopher Newport University. After a 42-yard interception return by Ryan Brenner, the Profs turned defense into offense as Rowan scored the only points of the first quarter on a 10-yard touchdown run by Galen Bragg. Later on in the second quarter, Rowan kicker Tyler Knighton kicked a 34-yard field goal to make their lead 10-0. After the captains forced a punt to start the second half, they took the ball and had an 8-play, 45-yard drive resulting in a touchdown. That was all the scoring there would be as Rowan won 10-7. Rowan hosts 13th ranked and NJAC leading Salisbury University for homecoming on Saturday, October 8th at 2 p.m.
The women's volleyball team came up short in 4 sets against NJAC rival Montclair State on Tuesday night. The set scores were 25-19, 25-22, 22-25, and 25-21. For the Profs, outside hitter Megan Jacoby led the team with 14 kills. Outside hitters Kaylee Gallagher and Erica O'Hagan each had 8 kills apiece. Setter Kat Wolf had 15 digs and 15 assists. For the Redhawks, outside hitter Haley Merrill tallied 16 kills. Middle blocker outside hitter Rebecca Matasker had 10 kills and 4 blocks. Setter Ashley Griffith had 13 digs and 3 service aces. Montclair State improved to 4-1 in the NJAC, while Rowan fell to 2-2. The Profs will travel to Newman University for the Knights Classic on Friday, October 7th. They will take on Keystone College at 4 p.m. and King's College at 6 p.m.
The men's cross-country team finished 19th out of 45 teams at the Paul Short Run at Lehigh University. The teams competing were across all 3 NCAA divisions. For the Profs, the top runner was Kevin Veltri, who finished 42nd out of 400 runners in the 8K Brown race with a time of 25 minutes, 27 seconds. Zach Helm finished in 104th place with a time of 25 minutes, 53 seconds. And John Mayer crossed the finish line at 26 minutes, 1 second for a 125th place finish. In the second run, an 8K open run, 503 runners competed. Nick Neville finished in 147th with a time of 26 minutes, 31 seconds. Martin Maldonado ran a time of 26 minutes, 50 seconds for a 188th place finish. And Nick Noko finished 195th, finishing 4 seconds later. The Profs now rank 8th in the latest Atlantic Region ranking. Also, Matt Russo was named ECAC Corvius and NJAC Rookie of the Week. Next up, the Profs will host the Interregional Border Battle on Saturday, October 15th, with runs scheduled at 11:45 a.m. and 1:15 p.m.
The women's cross-country team posted a 5th place finish out of 32 teams from their race at the Paul Short Run. Freshman Diane Ferraro crossed the finish line in 5th place in the 6K race, clocking in at 22 minutes and 24 seconds. Emily Acton came in 30th with a time of 23 minutes, 35 seconds. Jesselyn Wright posted a time of 23 minutes and 43 seconds, placing 43rd. Ferraro was honored with ECAC Corvius and NJAC Rookie of the Week. Next up, the team will host the Interregional Border Battle with their run scheduled for 11 a.m.
With a quarter of the season in the books in the NFL and the hunt for October over in the MLB, we send it over to Thomas DiNapoli for this week's Pro Talk.
Thanks, Cody. Now to the wacky, crazy, and unbelievable world of professional sports. On Tuesday, the Toronto Blue Jays hosted the Baltimore Orioles for the American League wildcard game. Chris Tillman started for the Orioles and Marcus Stroman started for the Blue Jays. But it was the bullpen that would be in the papers the next day. In the bottom of the 11th inning, with 1 out and the bases empty, Orioles manager Buck Showalter controversially went with starter Ubaldo Jimenez. The Jays jumped on him quickly as Devin Travis, who had grounded into 2 double plays, singled. Josh Donaldson did the same. After a mound visit, Showalter stuck with Jimenez to face Edwin Encarnacion. On the first pitch, Encarnacion blasted a walk-off 3-run home run. Critics wonder as to why Showalter did not go to closer Zach Britton, as he had an 0.54 ERA this season. Baltimore goes home, and Toronto will face the Texas Rangers in an ALDS rematch starting Thursday, October 6th. On Wednesday, the New York Mets hosted the San Francisco Giants in the National League wildcard game. It was a pitcher's duel as Noah Syndergaard faced Madison Bumgarner. Both flexed their muscles as Syndergaard went 7 scoreless. The Mets bullpen was their Achilles heel. Addison Reed had the bases loaded in the 8th, but got out of the jam. Closer Jeurys Familia came in the 9th in a tie game. After a double by Brendan Crawford, a walk to Joe Panik, it was Connor Gillespie who played hero for the Giants. He had a 3-run home run, and in the bottom half of the 9th, Bumgarner sealed the deal. For Bumgarner, it is his 23rd consecutive scoreless inning in a win-or-go-home game. The Giants will go on to face the Cubs starting Friday, October 7th. Over to football now, where New York Giants wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. continues his on-field antics. Last year, he went after Josh Norman of the Carolina Panthers. This year, he went after Xavier Rhodes of the Minnesota Vikings. Coach Ben McAdoo has talked to Beckham. General Manager Jerry Reese has talked to Beckham. Quarterback Eli Manning called Beckham out to the media. The New York Football Giants are threatening Beckham with either benching or suspending him. Being the Giants are 2-2 and in last in the NFC East due to the tiebreaker, all hands will need to be on deck if the G-Men want to win the division. For the first time since March of 2014, Philadelphia 76ers Joel Embiid played in a formal competitive basketball game on Tuesday night. Embiid was drafted on Thursday, June 26, 2014, and is not dressed in uniform for the Sixers. Embiid had 6 points, 4 rebounds, 3 turnovers, and 2 blocks. Stats may be a little misleading, as scouts and newspaper writers rave that Embiid may be the franchise player the Sixers were looking for. With Ben Simmons sidelined, Embiid healthy may be just what the doctor ordered. That's all I have for you on this week's Pro Talk. Later, Cody and Chris have more from the soccer pitch. But after the break, I sit down with Cody, Lenny Schnee, and Kevin Cornell for this week's Rowan Roundtable. So stay tuned for more All Access.
Welcome back to All Access. Time for our Rowan Roundtable. Joining me are Cody Decker, Thomas DiNapoli, and Lenny Schnee to discuss some hot topics in fantasy football. You guys ready?
Ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
I was born ready.
Awesome.
It's my line.
First question, guys. If someone on the street walked up to you and asked to describe what fantasy football is, how would you explain it? Lenny?
What fantasy football is? It's like probably the greatest non-contact competition in the world, honestly. To me, it's more about the friendly competition with these guys that I really enjoy. Football's football to me, but going week in and week out and being able to say that I beat Cody by 65 points a couple weeks ago was probably the greatest feeling ever.
Can you respond?
Lenny, you're 2-2 and you're in the middle of the pack. I'm 3-1 and tied for the lead right now. So basically, fantasy football is football without the playbook. It's all about the numbers, is what it's really all about. So however many catches your wide receiver gets, however many yards your running back gets, however many yards and touchdowns your quarterback throws for. That's all it's really about. It's all you really have to worry about. And basically, you just got to watch trends on the players. If there's a player who's available and you like him, you go get him. If you don't, then you don't pick them up. If there's a player you might have to drop or trade for. So you're a general manager just worrying about the numbers, basically.
I agree with that. Half my team at this point is off of waiver wire picks.
Yeah, and I play the waiver wire as if it's a fiddle. I am the master at the waiver wire. What fantasy football is, first of all, it was my income last year. Didn't have a job on campus, so what did I do? I played FanDuel. That was my only source of income. Also, friendly competition. When we are versing each other in fantasy football, you are not my friends. You are my enemies until I beat you. Also, I believe you're 3-1. Who are you tied for the league lead with?
With a song.
Yeah, nice. Okay. I didn't know. As commissioner, I should. But
Oh my God. All right, on to the next question, guys. So, any advice you can offer for fantasy owners that have teams that have not performed so well to this year?
Well, just to go off what Tom just said, you got to play the waiver wire like a fiddle. I guess would be a good way to put it. Not how I would put it, but hey, I guess it makes sense. You got to watch the waiver wire. You got to really stay on top of things. I know a couple weeks ago I made a mistake with Antonio Gates, who I picked up to keep in place of Tyler Eifert. Probably the best tight end in the league scoring-wise. Picked him up, still isn't playing this week. Picked up Antonio Gates. Turns out he wasn't playing that week because I didn't click on the little red flag that was right there on the website that's there for that purpose, because apparently I'm not the smartest individual in the world. But hey, you really have to watch the waiver wire. That's one of the best things you could do to get your underperforming team up from the ground.
I'm going to cut you off, Cody, because, and you also have to take advantage of the moronic moves that your players in your league make. So he picks up Antonio Gates. So who's the starting tight end? Hunter Henry. So who's the smart, handsome individual that picks up Hunter Henry? Thomas DiNapoli. So I'm going to have him. He's going to be the reason I beat you this week, and I can't wait.
You got a fair point, but all those waiver wire pickups you're talking about, and I was able to pick up. I dropped Adrian Peterson when he got hurt. I was able to trade Eddie Lacy for Michael Crabtree.
That's beautiful.
It's a bold strategy.
He paid off big time this week. Cody?
Yeah, I'm just going to add to that because they mostly covered it. But if you're like in an 0-4 hole right now, you need to make a trade. Yep. There's no way you're going to get back in this whole thing if you're going off waiver wire picks. Go out there, try and make a trade with somebody, try and get the better end of the deal, and maybe your comeback comes. But go after somebody. You can't just be sitting there.
Okay. So after 1/4 of the season, who do you wish you would have taken with your first pick in the draft? Why don't we start with you this time, Tom?
I don't even know where I picked. I have too many fantasy teams to keep up with.
I think you picked 3.
I picked 3, and I picked A.J. Green. And honestly, if I had to go back and do it, I wouldn't want it any other way. A.J. Green, I believe he's still going to go out there. He puts up some weird numbers. Like, he'll verse the worst defense and only have, 12 points. But then he'll verse a great defense and have 33.
I believe he had, 36 last week or something crazy like that.
If I am going to change it, though, it would be Antonio Brown.
He won number 1 overall in 95% of the leagues or something ridiculous.
If I had the number 1 pick and I could redo it, it would be Antonio Brown.
You know, I had the 4th pick in our RTN league, and I was hoping I was going to drop down and get Adrian Peterson. Thank God he didn't fall. He didn't at 3.
Fell
he
to
was
me.
picked, and he fell to Kevin. And then all of a sudden, Julio Jones is sitting there, and I'm like, that's the best player on the board. You have to get him. And after his 42 point for performance in a half-point PPR league this week, you cannot go wrong. Julio Jones is the best number 1 wide receiver in the league, fantasy-wise. And here I'm gonna tell you why. Sammy Coates now, Darius Hayward-Bay, Marcus Wheaton, and Jesse James getting involved in the offense. There's too many guys on that Steelers team.
Le'Veon Bell back.
Exactly. Yeah, D'Angelo Williams working in the mix. There's too many guys there. Julio's a top guy, and Odell struggled a little bit this week. So
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I took David Johnson in the first round, which I thought was a kind of a gutsy pick, but I like him. He's doing well so far, averaging in the mid-teens point-wise. So I don't think I would honestly change much because I'm doing okay right now, sitting at 2-2. But if I drop to 2-3 after this week, which who knows, I might, according to Thomas, maybe I'll regret that pick a little bit more depending on how Johnson does. But I have Mark Ingram in one of my other leagues as my running back, and I'm liking him a lot better. But I'll stick with Johnson. Hopefully I'll win this week.
I hear you on that one. So who has been your best sleeper this year?
I'm going to start this one off.
Please do.
And based on the way our draft went, and again, we have 8 teams, so as far as he went down, Larry Fitzgerald, I think, is a good sleeper right now. I realize Carson Palmer's hurt, and that's kind of not okay. At the same time, Drew Stanton has been the backup in Arizona for so many years now. I feel like he has just as much chemistry with the receivers as Carson Palmer does. And Larry Fitzgerald is Larry Fitzgerald. I don't want to hear the age thing. Forte's been okay, but had a good first week. I'm done with the whole age conversation. If you have natural ability in football, you're going to do well. And Larry Fitz just seems to find a way to keep getting receptions and keep getting some good yardage. He has the big playability too.
So with the last pick in one of my drafts, I took Mike Wallace. So right now, Mike Wallace, out of the 4 weeks, 3 of them have been in double digits. 2 of them have been in the 20s. So for your last overall pick of the draft, most people just take, a running back 2. So the fact that I was able to get Mike Wallace with the last pick, I would say Mike Wallace is my best sleeper.
Yeah, when it comes to sleepers on my team, probably has to be Latavius Murray from Oakland. Fortunately, he is sitting out this week. But the first couple of weeks, week 1, I believe he had 1 rushing touchdown and 1 receiving, and he's had 1 rushing touchdown each of the additional weeks after that. So he's been averaging between 10 and 15 points for me and had as many as 19 one week. And I just simply picked him up to have him in the flex spot, which in our league, to clarify, we don't have the normal wide receiver running back flex. Tom, as our commissioner suggested, to be able to add a tight end there, which I think was very, very good.
Yeah. Just
You
tip
know,
the commissioner.
I certainly like that. It was definitely a good decision on the commissioner's part.
Alrighty, some interesting points on a couple questions, gentlemen. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. That is all we have for the Rowan Roundtable. Up next, Cody and Chris will recap the latest from the Rowan soccer teams. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Time to get out our cleats and shin guards and see how the Rowan soccer teams have been doing. Take it away, Chris.
Thanks, Cody. On Saturday, the Rowan men's soccer team shut out Keene University 3-0 in an NJAC matchup. The Profs stay undefeated at 10-0-1, and they remain in first place in the NJAC with a 3-0-1 mark. Goal scorers include Brian Zobiak, Jake Connors, and Travis Ward. Goaltender Kyle Dennis was the one who recorded the shutout. Rowan will be traveling to Montclair State University on Saturday, October 8th for a 7 p.m. kickoff.
The women's soccer team was in action on Saturday at Keene University, where the Profs were able to pitch an impressive shutout against the Cougars by a final score of 2-0. Leading the way for the Profs were forwards Catherine McCary, who headed in the first goal of the game in the 38th minute, and Maxine New, who was able to drill the upper left side of the Keene net at 48-15. Goalkeeper Shelby Money was able to stop 4 shots en route to her 8th shutout this season. Shelby also had the honor of having 8 of the Rowan's last 11 shutouts so far this season. The Profs women have an away game next at Eastern University on October 5th.
The Rowan women's soccer team was back in business at Eastern University, and as usual, business was good for the Profs as they pitched another 2-0 shutout. Midfielder Megan Karkidi scored the first goal of the game at 10:56 on a crossing pass from Shannon Reardon. The later goal was scored at 35-14 by forward player Lauren Coletti off of an assist by midfielder Kyle Kiefer. The Profs are now sitting at 11-0-1 and have yet to allow a goal on the season as they are led by goalkeeper Shelby Money, who pitched her 9th shutout on Wednesday. The next game for the Profs is this Saturday at home against conference opponent Montclair State University at 6 p.m.
Up next, Lenny Schnee will be back to introduce our first Prof Spotlight for our 25th season. Come right back.
Welcome back to All Access. I'm Lenny Schnee. The Rowan football team is off to a 3-1 start this season and have shown potential to be a strong contender in the NJAC. Leading this team is head coach Jay Accorsi in his 15th season as Profs head coach. He talked with Cody Decker on Rowan Football Media Day to discuss his expectations for this season, as well as the inspirational man that was Coach Richard Wacker.
Here with head coach Jay Accorsi. Now, Coach Accorsi, how's your offseason been so far?
It's been nice. It's been nice and quiet while the students are away in the summertime, and now all of a sudden they came back, so it's been a little different.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want you to take me back to when you decided to become Rowan's head football coach. What was your reasoning to come to Rowan and want to coach the football team?
Well, originally I came as a graduate student way back in the day in 1993. Wanted to go back and work on my master's. Wanted to find a different environment for me to grow and develop as a coach, and things just kind of fell in place when I came here in the fall of 1993. And I joke I came as a graduate student and have yet to escape the place so many years later, but it's a beautiful place, it's a great school, and it's a great place to be.
Now, I want to switch gears a little bit to Coach Richard Wacker, who passed away 11 days ago. What are you going to remember most about Coach Wacker?
There's so much. It's I don't know if you could say it in one interview or one phrase, or he was just a special individual. One of those people you only meet maybe once in a lifetime. He meant so much to so many different people. I think if you just asked anybody involved in athletics, football, Rowan University in general, across campus, he was coach. He was the one. And, we miss him dearly. Obviously, it's surreal not having him around. We would always bring him in and have him address the players during training camp. It was always somebody for me personally that I could call and use as a sounding board. And, it's sad, it's tough, it's hard. But he would want you to move on and do the best you could do and be the best person that you could be. And I think that's what he brought out in everybody, was just be the best person that you can be and always do the right thing for the right reasons. And that's what we're going to try to do without him.
Now, he definitely left a legacy, which is why his stadium was named here. It was named for him in 2009. What's the best piece of advice that he gave you, if you're willing to share?
You know, there's so many. And we had a lot of laughs and a lot of jokes about a lot of different things. I just think he always instilled about doing the right thing. I think, you know, sometimes in life there's a lot of pressure on you to do a lot of different things. In athletics, there's pressure to win. And he never gave that impression, and he never talked about that. He never really talked about winning and those type of things. It was always about all the other things, and that winning would take care of itself. And it was just always about being the best you could be, being the best person you could be, and just always trying to do the right thing. And I don't know in this day and age if, especially in athletics, we talk about those things. You know, it's win. You know, I got to do this, I got to do that, me. It just wasn't that with him. And I think that's what he instilled in not just me, but a lot of people is, you know, always do the right thing, always do the best you can, and just try to fight through it and be who you are. And I think that's what he meant to everybody, and especially to me, which was really important.
And now you've had 14 seasons here so far in your experience as Rowan head coach. Is there like a best moment that you have thus far in your career?
There's so many. You know, I mean, you know, you're blessed, again, to be in one place for so long. That usually doesn't happen. Usually in the coaching profession, especially in football, you bounce around to a lot of different places. There's just so many memories because there's so many great players and coaches and people you've been involved with. You know, the 99 season where we beat Mount Union at Mount Union, and we walk into a fast food restaurant, and a fan turns to one of our players, Timmy Watson, who's the head coach at Cedar Creek High School, and said, "Oh, did you play a game today?" And Timmy said, "Yeah, we played, you know, Mount Union." He goes, "Oh, you know, how much did you lose by?" And he goes, "We won." You know, so it's just those little stories I think that you think about, but there's been so many. I don't think you can put any one particular one, you know, ahead of any of the others.
Now, I've heard a little snippets of some of your pregame speeches. What are the qualities that you try and exemplify in a Rowan Prof player?
You know, I think it's toughness, gritty, hard-nosed, you know, the things that I believe in and the things that I think are important about athletics and important about football, and important about what I think a Rowan football player or a Rowan student is. Hard work and blue collar, bring your lunch pail, go to work, fight through whatever it is, you know, and work really hard to excel the best you can. And that's all we try to do with our players is try to be the best person you can be, try to be the best student you can be, and then try to be the best football player and student athlete you can be. And that's all I really try to concentrate on.
Now, I asked Coach Dottie this question earlier. I wanted to go back to Josh Popper, who had a tremendous season last year in his senior campaign. What do you think about his opportunity to try out with the Arizona Cardinals?
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's gotten some opportunities and opened some people's eyes with some combines and things that he's done. You know, making that jump from Division III to the next level is not very easy. We've had some players dabble with it over the years. Because of the success of the program and the schedule and the type of people that we play and the type of players that we have. You know, it was a great opportunity for him. I know he's still dabbling at some others, but we've had several others, you know, kind of do that as well. So it's great for the program. It's great for him to get that opportunity to do some things at that next level. A lot of people don't get that opportunity, you know, to live the dream. And it was good for him. Well-deserved, earned. And, you know, we'll see where it takes him from now.
Now, last season, to go back there for a minute, you know, you guys got off to a hot start, 4-0. And then from there, you know, losing 4 of the last 6. You pretty much had the same schedule this season, just a switching home and away. Is there anything that you can think of that you need to do differently or anything you can improve on?
You know, I think the schedule helps. You know, last year we were 4 home, 6 away, in a brutal new conference or new teams in the conference. But as I joke, when your AD is the soccer coach, I guess sometimes that could happen. But I joke with him about that. I just think we got to get back to Rowan football. And it talks about, you know, you mentioned about what we try to talk about in pregame speeches, and what we try to mention is I don't think we were tough enough last year. I don't think we did the little things well enough last year, and I think those things caught up to us in some big games. We were right there at the end, and we let some opportunities slip, and we just can't afford to do that this year. So I think that's been the theme from the spring that we've carried over into this training camp is let's get back to hard-nosed Rowan football, and let's be gritty, and let's do all the little things we need to do.
Okay, last question now. I just want to know, why did you decide to go into the sport of football? Did you have an inspiration, or what was the case in wanting to coach football?
Well, obviously I got involved in football because of my dad, and my dad passed, not too long ago, a couple months ago, and he was my first football coach. He bought me my first pair of shoulder pads and helmet. And it was just kind of something that I really took to. He had played growing up, and I was the oldest of the 3 kids, and he kind of got me involved in it at an early age, and I just really loved it. I loved the opportunity to go out and compete. I loved the opportunity to go out and be able to hit people and legally get away with it if you did it the right way, and use some aggression and channel that energy in the right way. I think as a society, if we did that, we'd all be better off. But for me, that's what the gig was. And then when playing was over and I did some things personally in the working world, it just wasn't the same. I really missed it. And I remember talking about my dad. I got into coaching, and I can't say what he said to me because I went to a small business school, and he goes, "Are you kidding me? I paid all that money for an education. You're going to be some coach with a whistle or something?" He quickly changed his tune when he saw how much I loved it and how much it meant to me. And again, I think that's why I got into it, because of my dad. And it was an opportunity to express myself in a way that was appropriate and able to have some fun. And it's the same thing now. To be a coach, I think you're living a dream. To be a football coach, I think it's a huge dream you're able to live, because you're with young guys every day. And see them have fun and really enjoy a sport that's really difficult and hard.
Coach, thank you very much for your time. Good luck this season.
Thank you very much.
That does it for this week's Prof Spotlight. We would like to thank Coach Accorsi for taking his time to talk with us. Coming up after the break, Chris and Cody have more updates on everything Rowan sports. So stay tuned for more All Access.
Welcome back to All Access. Time to face off for some hockey recaps, starting with the field hockey team. Cody?
Thanks, Chris. The Profs field hockey team dropped their conference opener to Kane University on the road this past Saturday in overtime by a final score of 3-2. Kane scored the first 2 goals, the first coming from a midfielder who got a rebound in front and put it in for the opening tally in the 11th minute. The same midfielder found the stat sheet a few minutes later, this time in the assist column as she fed a pass to Leah DiPiazza, who put it home in the 17th minute to make it 2-0 Cougars. In the 23rd minute, the Profs answered back as Hyden Heights native Jackie Rosati scored on a pass from Julie Johnson in the second half. Skylar Pino tied the game at 2 in the 53rd minute with a goal, the assist coming from Julie Johnson again. But in overtime, the midfielder of the Cougars found the net again at the 66-46 mark to give Kane the 3-2 victory.
Profs field hockey was back in action at home on Tuesday night. They fell victim to a late comeback by the TCNJ Lions, losing 3-2. The score was tied at 1 heading into the half. The goal for TCNJ came from Kala Andrews in the 23rd minute. Rowan answered back with a goal from Jackie Rosati on a rebound after Lions goalie Christina Fabiano stopped the initial shot. In the second half, Rachel Galante put the Profs ahead 2-1 with a goal in the 63rd minute. But the lead was short-lived as Lexi Smith of the Lions tied the game on a penalty stroke 2 minutes later. Just 2 minutes after they tied the game, Jacqueline Douglas put the Lions ahead and they wouldn't look back, completing the come-from-behind victory. The Profs fall to 8-4 on the season and 0-2 in conference play. The ladies are back at it on Friday at home against Ramapo. The opening faceoff is scheduled for 6:30 p.m.
On Saturday, September 30th, Rowan had its official home opener. In Rowan hockey's 40th year, a Hall of Fame was introduced before the game. It was during that game that Rowan made their alumni proud. At the 13:50 mark in the first, defenseman Brian Keller opened up scoring. Before the period ended, Mike McGahey would score 2 of his 3 goals on the day. Rowan never looked back as they won 8-1 over the Millersville Marauders. Ice hockey reporter Thomas DiNapoli has more on the victory from Hollydale Ice Arena.
Thomas DiNapoli reporting for the Rowan Television Network, where Rowan steamrolled the Millersville Marauders 8-1. Mike McCaughey had a hat trick in this one, and a couple of those were assisted by Alec Nikolai. McCaughey talked about the chemistry he has with Nikolai pre-Rowan and currently.
Well, before I even came to Rowan, we played together too. So I mean, like I've known him longer, but I don't know. It's just I don't know. I feel like we just don't we don't need to look for each other when we're out there. We just know. Like even like on that second goal that I scored tonight, he wasn't even looking. He just made a pass back door. Their whole team wasn't even paying attention.
Brian Keller, a senior defenseman, one of the leaders of the defense, said what it was like to be one of the older guys on the team.
Well, I mean, we brought in a lot of rookies this year, so I'm really trying to take a bunch of them under my wing, you know, show them the ropes and kind of just step up as a leader. But it's really all I'm doing. Nothing special. With
Rowan winning 8-1 today and 6-4 last week against TCNJ, they haven't faced too much adversity. This is what Coach Caulfield had to say about when the team faces adversity.
Don't know yet because, like you said, we really haven't faced it. Next week will be a really good test for us, playing Ryder and Army back-to-back. Be our first road game. We'll see how the young kids hold up, so I'm looking forward to seeing how everything plays out after we get off a bus.
And that wraps it up here in Sewell, New Jersey at Hollydale Ice Arena. Once again, the Rowan Profs 8, the Millersville Marauders 1. Good night, everybody.
The Profs open up league play this week against MAC North rivals Rider University and Army this Friday and Saturday.
Well, the horn has sounded for the silver anniversary premiere of All Access. For Lenny Schnee, Thomas DiNapoli, Kevin Cornell, and my partner Cody Decker and the entire All Access team, I'm Chris Devine, and we will see you next week.